Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the FloTrack podcast, our first ever FloTrack podcast on location. We are in Atlanta, Georgia, site of the U.S. Olympic Marathon Trials. For those of you watching this, you're getting a beautiful view of our hotel room.
Yep.
For those of you listening to it, you'll probably hear the dulcet tones of Lincoln, my co-host, drinking his coffee throughout.
Sipping the hotel room coffee.
How is it?
Oh, it's fine. Made out of Keurig. It's very hot, so that's all you can hope for.
The temperature in our room basically bounces back and forth between way too hot and really chilly.
An apt metaphor for Jordan Hsay and her candidacy to make the top three.
I thought you were going to say an apt metaphor for outside because it was really cold yesterday. The wind was blowing a lot this morning.
Yeah.
Weather could play a factor here.
I mean, and the hills are as advertised. Absolutely. If it's windy, yeah, it's going to be, I would assume, a lot slower.
Yeah.
You're going to probably not have somebody break away like maybe they would have earlier. We'll see. Absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't want to be out there running 26.2 miles, regardless of the conditions, but especially here, I think it's going to be miserable out there if it stays like this with this wind. It's very, very cold for this time of year in Atlanta.
Just a complete 180 from how it was in LA 4 years ago when the story was heat. Obviously, people trying to do everything they can to cool down. Galen Rupp famously showed up to that race with holes in his jerseys.
Yes.
I don't know if he knew they were holes, but it was convenient because it helped air things out. There were sponges. People were biting towels a la Jared Tarkanian. It allowed me to make some Jared Tarkanian references.
That's a good one. How many people will get that reference?
Not many, but those who do really earned it and deserved it, and I really felt like they were the true fans.
Yeah.
I wanted to run through some scenarios with you of things that could happen in the race, and I want you to give me a likelihood, a percent chance that they happen, because we haven't gone to the press conference yet. That's today in the afternoon, Thursday afternoon, so tomorrow we'll have more tidbits for that. We're also going to talk a little bit about our pursuit to find the Alpha Fly room. Those loyal watchers of This Week in Marathon got a glimpse of that, but we want to rehash that story because it really was a journalistic achievement for both of us.
Yeah.
A high point in both of our careers.
It doesn't have to be a positive achievement, but it was an achievement. You're right.
It was a literal achievement. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that at the end, but I want to pose some scenarios to you, Lincoln. One that I thought of last night, right before we went to bed, or in the midst of writing my preview. And I thought, hey, of all the top women's contenders, of which you could say, you can cut it off at 5 or 4 or 8, something like that.
Okay.
But of that group, there are two people who were positioned to really assert their will on the race, who are also teammates. And I'm talking about Emily Sisson and Molly Huddle.
Right.
Don't know how much they train together. They do some training together. They have the same coach. What's the percent likelihood that they say to themselves, hey, we should really dictate the terms of this race? Sisson's run 2:23. Huddle is not afraid to take a lead and chart out her own race path.
Yeah.
What are the chances that they actually do that and try to get this thing down to a lead group of a 5 by halfway just by virtue of making it honest from the gun?
Yeah, I think the conditions will probably dictate that, because even if they were able to work together, a path that's a race plan that's aggressive, that gets them out in front, still leaves them with just each other. And if it's windy, maybe they wouldn't be afraid to do it if it's just cold, but the wind obviously will be a huge factor. Percent-wise chance, I guess I'm a little hesitant to say put it at a high number because, like, yes, they're training partners, but like last year when they were training for London, they didn't even train together.
Yeah, but they can still come up with a plan for this race, even if they've been training, and they can say, hey, we're going to click off this type of pace or this type of effort, or maybe they're signaling to each other.
But I mean, how fast would they have to go, though, to drop to leave the field and to kind of to,
I'm not
to
saying
make
everybody.
it aggressive?
I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying they take it
to
off.
whittle it down to like 5.
Yeah.
I'll give that a 25% chance.
25% chance?
I just don't see that. That to me doesn't. Yes, Huddle has shown that she's not afraid to get after it, but Sisson's inexperience. I know she ran well in London, but Sisson's inexperience and her youth, and she still got track speed. Like, why is that? There's nothing saying that she shouldn't just sit and wait to the second half.
I guess my thing is you're just saying, hey, we're confident in our training.
Sure.
We're good.
Sure.
We're good, and we're going to make this a real, full race.
The thing about the trials, though, is you just like, it's not a course that you know, even when they have it in cities with major marathons, it's a different course, and this is totally unique, and it's quite hilly. I just don't see that happening.
Because they're not familiar with the course.
I think it's going to be a massive, pack of women through 13 miles, and obviously I think it'll just naturally run its course, and I don't think we're going to see anybody making moves through the first 2 loops, so through 16 miles.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my take.
All right. My next question.
Yeah.
What are the odds Jordan Hesse just blows everybody out, wins by over a minute?
Oh, 5%? I don't think that's going to happen at all. I mean, speaking of someone who's doesn't want to risk it. I mean, her last marathon went terribly. She ran 2 miles or whatever it was. She dropped out of Houston. Maybe that was precautionary. Mm-hmm. But with the health issues, we don't know if she's fully healthy. I mean, you just assume because she's here.
If I told you she was fully healthy.
I still don't think she wins by over a minute. She's not a Galen Rupp over the men's field in 2016 level of order of magnitude above this field. Yes, she's run 2:20.
Yeah.
But you know, on a fast day in Chicago, Chicago's a course that now has a 2:14 course record, and we saw all those 2:10s by the men there. It's a very, very fast course, and I think Des has an advantage on her over this course, and I would pick her over that. Not even just the injury concerns by itself, just the hilly nature of it overall. And I put it at 5% that she could blow out this field.
Really? Because you look at it, and I know it's a big if, to put aside all the injuries.
Yeah.
But she has a very unique resume here in the marathons that she's finished. Top three.
Right.
She's run 2:20. She's the same age as Sisson, but she has obviously more experience than Sisson. Theoretically, this is prime Hesse, right? This is her in that sweet spot of mix between youth but also experience in the distance.
Okay.
Now, granted, youth really only means something when you're staying healthy, because that's the whole point of youth.
Right.
And that's been a struggle for her.
And speed, I guess.
But I'm just, that's true. Those two things. I was just thinking when I was, again, doing my preview and just combing through all my notes and reams of research that...
Just calling your sources.
Yeah, it was a very, very late night for me calling my sources. I just thought, there is a shot that she's like fully healthy. And she's really good when she's healthy.
Oh, I mean, I would put that at squarely at 50% that she's fully healthy and maybe even as fit as she's ever been, because the injury from Chicago was kind of just it wasn't like it was a massive, to my knowledge, a massive thing. It was just she was in pain at those miles, and seemingly she was good to go before Chicago, and then she could be totally healthy. She may say racing's kind of my problem. If I just stay training, then I don't know what that was. Then I'll be totally fit. So yes, there's a chance she's fitter than ever. I doubt that. I don't doubt. I'll put it at 50% that she's like at her best fitness ever.
Yeah.
But 5% that she blows out the field. I just don't see that.
Okay.
No.
Well, that was my next question, is a chance that she's fully healthy. So you answered that one.
Yeah,
so question number 4. Let's go on to question number 4. We're on the women's side of things too. We'll get to the men here in a bit. Percent chance that there's a non-alpha fly, non-vapor fly, non-next percent, non-Nike shoe in general, women's top 3.
Okay. So you would be looking at Huddle, some combination, Huddle, Sisson, Linden, Huddle, Taylor, Hall, Huddle, you can look at that. Bates.
Basically, you're saying...
I realized yesterday that I'm overlooking Emma Bates, so I'm a little nervous about that, but not nervous in the sense that, oh man, I haven't given her proper due. Aside from the
basically, you're saying Hesse and Sally Kipyego won't make the team.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Nike athletes.
What percentage is that? I mean, so I put Hesse's being fully healthy at 50%. It feels like I should have a number around there. Can I go 60% there? I mean, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna,
you're co-owner of this podcast.
Yeah, I'll go 60%. But of course, my hesitant nature there is all the articles, are like, oh, the alpha flies are going to destroy this race, and we all know the Vaporfly controversy, and the alpha fly supposedly 8%. I mean, I figure Jordan Hussein breaks the world record by just like a couple minutes, like just a conservative effort.
They're going to catch the men's race?
Yeah. Yeah, I put 60%. I mean, look at the talents there. I could easily envision Huddle, Sisson, and Linden as a team.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. And do you really think someone whose PB is 230 or 229?
Well, what's the alpha flight conversion there, Kevin?
I'm just using your head here. Okay, I have one more on the women's side.
60%, I'll say.
60%. Okay,
Yeah.
finally 60%. What are the chances someone qualifies in the women's race, not in the Big Four?
Okay.
Or Sarah Hall? Mm-hmm. What do you got? That group of 5.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at Emma Bates, who ran 225. Is she in this big group or no? No, you said Big 5 only.
5, yeah.
Okay. So outside of that, we'd be talking about Kellen Taylor, Kipyego, Bates, Bruce,
Tuliamuk, Thweet.
15%?
15%? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think this course is just adding so many variables, and I think those women are good enough to where a really good day and just a few issues with some of those top people. That I mean, I'm willing to give it that much. That okay. I think Bates, like I said, is underrated. She ran 225 in Chicago, beat Bruce, was 4th overall in that race. Obviously, that race was totally thrown out of whack because a woman ran 214. But I think she's better than maybe some people think, and I have no idea if this course will be good for her or not. I don't think anyone's necessarily run a marathon on this type of course. It seems more challenging than even like what New York or Boston would be. So it's tough to extrapolate results from those majors, prominent marathons to this. But yeah, I'll say 15%. I still have faith in that group that we've all been talking about, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised outside of I think it's gonna come from those 4. But
yeah.
I mean, I'll stick with my pick.
Yeah, which is
Sisson, Linden, Huddle. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, if I knew Jose was healthy, I would obviously put her in there. We just don't know.
Yeah.
And then there's Hall, and then the rest of the group they're talking about.
Yeah. I have faith in that group too. Yeah.
Let's go 5 on the men's side now.
Okay.
5 questions on the men's side of things. Question 1: % chance that Jared Ward upsets Galen Rupp.
30%. I'm confident in him. He was running very, very well. His coach said in a Let's Run article that he was having stomach problems in Boston, and he still ran 2:09 last April. Then he ran 2:10:45 in New York. A very sneaky, good time, as I noted in my preview. I mean, read it. Don't read it at your own peril there. That was the fastest time in New York by an American since 2011. Now, of course, 2012 didn't happen, and other circumstances dictate what that will be. I mean, times in the marathon aren't always, especially in New York, because the first half could be slow, and you never know. But still, I think Ward's really fit. He ran well in Houston, obviously with the question marks around Rupp. I know he ran well at that half marathon, but
which half marathon?
Sprouts Mesa half.
Okay.
Yeah, classic. So 30%, a puncher's chance for sure.
30%
I mean,
chance.
Yeah, but that to me comes with the, it's almost mirrors. Do I think Rupp makes it through the marathon? What's the chance Rupp DNFs? Maybe not 30%, but it's much higher than it is for Ward.
I would be stunned if he DNFs. DNFs. I would be absolutely stunned.
Why is that?
Galen Rupp DNFs.
Just with an Olympic team on the line.
Yeah. When is he not? I mean, he's had to scratch races, but that injury was like a one-time thing.
And we don't know. Maybe he could have finished if an Olympic team was on the line. I mean, I don't know.
Right, and the pressure, the physical toll in this race is different from the physical toll in that race.
Sure.
Now, you still have to cover 26 miles and you still have to go fast, but I think he's really smart with his approach to things. Mm-hmm. I would be stunned if he doesn't finish. Okay. I think if he didn't run that tune-up at the Sprouts Mesa half marathon, then I would be a little more concerned, like
of course
for Jose. But I mean, if he's like what did he run in that?
The Sprouts?
Yeah,
61:19.
Yeah, I mean that's like a full effort for most of these people.
You're right.
And
really
he just
good.
went and did it in a marathon that
he is really good.
Was there any competition there at all?
I mean, Lano ran with him. I think Chalanga ran with him for a minute, but no, not really.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're just underrating that element of it. I know it's a tune-up race, and I'm a big proponent for not really putting too much into tune-up races, but when a person's coming back from Hagelin's deformity and Achilles surgery, you have to have some sign that they're back to life, and the fact that he just hops in there and runs 61, I think that's good.
Yeah, totally flat course in Arizona, totally different than what he's going to see here, but is anyone going to be super surprised if he dominates like he did 4 years ago? Probably not.
Brings me to my next question.
Okay.
Percent chance that the top three, all three, the spots will be decided by mile 25. In essence, there'll be no drama over the last mile.
Oh, on the men's race? Obviously when in the men we talk about a big four with Rupp, Ward, Career, and Fauble. So, if you're into an exciting race, most people are, unless you're a specific fan of one of those and you want to remove any drama. You want it to come down to those final miles. The marathon tends to not work out like that, though. So I'm going to go 80% that it's settled by mile 25, and maybe even before that.
Start writing your piece early.
Yeah, writing the men's preview. It's already done.
No, recap.
Yeah, no, I know. Recap's already done. Okay. Yeah. Even photos, which is weird, right? But no, I'm just kidding.
Stand there.
Yeah. 80%, I think. I think you look at one of the big four will have a bad race, and then I don't think anyone else is good enough to make the team, even on a great day. So,
percent we talked about. Ward, chance of being Rupp. Leonard Career, though. 207. Yes, completely different race. I mean, what are the chances he gets top two?
I put it at 50%. I'm not as optimistic. I know you put Ward or Fauble in that Amsterdam race. They run that fast, I think. And Career's very good, and he's still good on the track. He's run 27:20, which Ward and Fauble could never, probably sniff at. Obviously not anymore, but even in the track days. I just think 207 is the fastest debut ever by an American, but also most Americans don't debut at the Amsterdam Marathon.
Right.
So that's a tremendous factor. Because of that, I've had to catch myself saying, okay, can't automatically put him. I put him past Fauble.
Yeah.
In my preview, just in the sense that I thought, well, Fauble, he ran that 209 in Boston, but other than that, he's only run 212. And is he as good as we all think he is based on that Boston race? I think the answer is yes, but Career's got that extra speed, so I did nudge him ahead. But my thing I keep coming back to is if you put those guys in the Amsterdam race, I think they run that faster. So top two, 25%. I don't think he's breaking up Ward and Rupp.
Chances that somebody outside the big four qualifies?
It's dire for me. 10%. I don't see who it could be. Chicago showed that with so-called magic shoes and good weather and good pacing, that some bit players can run a fast marathon. Jake Riley, Jarrell Mock, Parker Stinson is not racing, Andrew Mumbolo, some more guys in there. And then Matt Lano ran a different race. He ran in Berlin and ran 211. But these guys are not the top four, even with Alpha Flies, which only Career and Rupp will have if they wear them at all. No, I don't see that. I mean, of course, we'll have the usual from 4 years ago through the half marathon. Tyler Purnell, can he hang on? And then we realize, that's right. There's 13 mials left in this race. 10%.
What shoes did Rupp wear at the Sprouts Mesa half marathon?
The Vaporfly Next Percent.
So I'm assuming he's sticking with those. With an Achilles injury, I don't think he's gonna be like, you know what? Let's amp up that stack height.
Yeah, I mean the people that we know. I think, Hasey's been running in them, so she'll be in them.
Yeah.
Legate's been running in them, so I assume he will be in them. I mean, I would think Nike wants most of their athletes in it, but Rupp, I think he could easily say to the Nike reps people, I'm going to go with what I'm comfortable with.
Going up and down all those hills, too.
Yeah.
That's tough. Okay, last one. This will be the 10th question overall, the 5th on the men's side of things.
How am I doing?
You've gotten 7 right. Okay, you've gotten someone's wrong, which I'll go over at the end.
I've already passed, so this is just extra.
Okay, percent chance that Jim Walmsley is in the mix still at the halfway point.
Oh, at the half? okay, so he's run 64, but man, if you convert his 100-mile times, no. At the half, I mean, the half could literally be 67 minutes, but still, that 67-minute on this course is could be well under a 64-minute effort. I think he's better than 64 minutes. I'm kind of trying to rack numbers through my brain. At half, less than 5%.
Really?
He's there at half. No, he's not. He's not a marathoner.
With the leaders.
Yeah, no, okay. I don't think so. I mean, there were significant fractures at halfway in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You know,
different course though, right?
Yeah, different course.
Weather different. But I guess that was people didn't want to run really hard from the gun either in LA either, right?
Yeah, because it was hot.
Yeah.
Okay. But
you said 5%.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be there. Okay. I truthfully don't. I don't understand I mean, a lot of it's driven by Let's Run and their sponsorship deal with Hoka. Shout out. But I don't understand the buzz around him. I truthfully don't. And like we said on the earlier podcast,
the buzz around him is just kind of cool because he's stepping down in distance to run a marathon.
Yeah, no, I get the buzz, but it needs to be a feel good story. Doesn't need to be a question of can he make the team. He cannot. He absolutely cannot make the team. Why is that so hard for people to understand?
It's just because it's Jeremy Warner running an 800, right? It's that level of.
How'd that work out?
Not well, as I'm saying, there's no miracles in the marathon. I think that's what people need to understand. Like, unless it's Meb. Meb can pull off miracles. Everybody else, reality sets in at some point, right? And you go back, you look at like Lyndon's win in Boston. Was it an upset? Yeah, but in a way, she was perfect for that day in that race, and it made sense.
Finished second in Boston before.
Right, and she'd also pushed the rock up the hill a number of times. Yeah. Flanagan in New York, like that was her perfect moment. Mm-hmm. A lot of things pointing to it. You can like upset one person or two people.
Yeah.
You can't go up all these tiers. The thing with Walmsley, we just don't know what the tiers are because he's run the 64. In his tune-up race, he beat some people who have
beat Jake Riley.
Decent PRs, but again, that's a tune-up race. You don't really know what to make of that. I just go back to like when push comes to shove, it's only top three, and you got to be like you have to be really, really good in that, and really, really specifically good in that, in that distance. It's just like in the women's side, there's a difference between a 223 runner and a 228 runner, and it will be seen out there. And it's tough to jump all those 226, 225, 224 runners to get there. Again, on a good day, you can get past a couple of them, but getting past all of them is insanely difficult. And there's just like a talent gap and a specificity gap at that distance. I'm interested. People think because he's good at ultras and the course is hilly that's somehow like going right into his hands. I mean,
it doesn't work like that.
I don't think it's that simple of just like this person runs really long and this course is hard, ergo it's going to be.
I feel like that's like kind of saying like a good 3-point shooter is a good half-court shooter. Like it's not always the same.
When people always talk about they're good in cross, so they'll translate well to the roads. It's like that's not necessarily true at all because.
It looks good when you write it down and it makes sense in your head. But
I've probably written it a couple times. This is a self-loathing podcast at this point.
But it doesn't always work out like that. And props, obviously, for him putting himself out there. And I know he did beat some guys in that, whatever that half marathon was several weeks ago, where the course ended up being short, wherever that was.
It was in Arizona somewhere.
Tucson, I don't know.
Tempe, I believe. It was not in. It was not in Mesa because it was not the Sprouts Mesa.
It was not the Sprouts Mesa half because nothing else is. But I don't think he's going to be a factor at all.
I think an interesting person to watch is Luke Buscadra, and I'm not picking him to make the team, but I mean, fourth in 2016, right? Then retires from the sport. All the things you read about him, and Chris Chavez wrote a preview or a profile on him. I mean, he's just been hard charging for forever, right? He's been a guy who's been on the map since high school.
Oh yeah, since I remember him going back to like 07. Yeah.
I think the time away and resetting and getting like the priorities in order. I mean, he'll be able to run liberated.
Yeah.
Again, it's hard. It's still going to be hard to get into that top four. But I could see him sticking around for a long time because it's like, well, what do I have to lose? I've already done this.
Do we know his tune-up race? Did he do any?
It's tough. It's a tough question to answer.
Yeah, who can say?
Who's in charge of the men's preview?
Yeah, I didn't even include him. I would worry. One, I don't think he's as fit as he was 4 years ago. Two, I mean, that's an easy thing to say. Two, windy, 6'5", not necessarily the best combination.
It's overrated.
Unless you're on the playground, but I don't know.
He's gonna duck in.
Yeah.
Literally duck in. He's just a fun one, I think, to watch. There's a lot of stories on the men's side of people you're just like, I wonder how they'll do. Like Bernard the God. Like,
first person to get a discount coffee at McDonald's while also trying to make the team. It's pretty.
Abdi Abdurrahman going
same
for his millionth team.
Yeah.
Someone like Chris Derrick.
Yeah.
Huge potential, right?
You would think.
Andrew Bumbelow, those former track guys who are moving up. Someone like Reed Fisher, who's still, I would consider him still a track guy, right? I mean, there's
half marathon guy. Yeah, he's run a good half. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he's run some decent 10,000s.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's cool people that are not in that big four.
Sure.
I think on the women's race is a little different because the possible qualifier list is a lot bigger. So the wheat is going to be separated from the chaff pretty quickly. But I could see one of those people, playing the role of Tyler Pennell of they're hanging in late or they get fifth or
Tyler Pennell even.
Tyler Pennell is Tyler Pennell the Tyler Pennell of 2020?
I think so. That might be the angle I go with today.
Is he at the press conference?
No.
Okay.
No. So no.
Just ask other people about the impact he had.
Yeah.
I think that's a good touch.
You could go forever, I feel like, on the men's race because behind the top four, the quality's not very good. So you could go that guy ran 61:50 at Houston, and he's got more strength than that. I mean, you eventually have to cut it off, right?
Oh, yeah, you got to, and it's obviously you're going to always exclude somebody who has a big breakout day and finishes seventh, and you're like, why didn't you include that person?
Yeah.
Biwat, though, is I don't know what he's done, in terms of where he's at in his training or anything like that, but, I mean, a guy who's finished multiple times in the top 5 at majors and hilly majors, difficult majors, I think is someone who could be there.
Is Stanley Kabeni in this race?
Well, we got that email last night, didn't we? From the
maybe he's not. We missed it. I thought his name was entered at some. I mean, there's just some guys in there. You're like, oh man.
Yeah. There were a lot. So let me heed caution here. There were a lot of, and I don't remember specifically, but there were a lot of exciting people in 2016, and a lot of them dropped out.
Yeah.
And the weather was terrible. But here the course is hard, so there might be some people.
Type of,
and maybe a lot of those people were just debutantes who were just they got the time via half marathon, and then they got in because they were allowed to do that last time. I do want to mention this though. Let's just take a moment to appreciate how far American marathoning has come. David Monty of Race Results Weekly posted a throwback article yesterday from 2000 when the U.S. they sent one woman to the trial. I mean, they had separate men's and women's trials, so it was just on the women's side of things. Dr. Christine Clark, who ran in the 2:30s, didn't get the A standard, so she was the only one who got to go. I mean, imagine how big of a bummer that would be to talk about right now. They got to run this time. If they don't, I mean, thankfully this is a lot of that went away because of the whole
the IAA
gold label
World Athletics
race thing. But even still, U.S. marathoning right now is so much better.
It is
than on both men's and women's than it was at the beginning of the decade.
I mean, imagine if Dr. Christina Clark had the Alpha Flies. I mean, totally different.
Yeah. She did a lot of training on a treadmill. Well, so you had Joan Bonnet Samuelson, obviously winning gold in '84.
Yeah.
Obviously the Bill Rogers era and all that other stuff. But the '90s was not great into the 2000s.
Americans were watching Friends and not training for the marathon.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Underrated comedy.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people talk about Friends. But then you get to Dina. Then you get to Meb.
Yeah.
Obviously, Khalid Kanuchi was in there when he switched citizenship.
Yeah.
But then I feel like it's just been this. I might end up writing about this, so I don't want to give too much. I'm just kidding. It's just been a steady climb since then.
Yeah.
08, 12, 16. Certainly on the women's side of things, right? Do you think this field is better than the 16 field for the women?
Yes. Yeah.
Just because it's deeper? Because we don't have Flanagan, we don't have
Craig, Goucher,
and Goucher. So we're missing 3 of the top 4.
Yeah.
But you still think it's better?
Yes. Yes.
Just because of the overall
Huddle's
depth.
there, Sisson's there, Hasey's there. I mean, who?
You got people like Bates and Taylor and Tuliamuk.
Yeah, it could be recency bias, of course, but
I think you might be right though. It's just you look at what Flanagan went, gets New York, and Craig gets the bronze medal at the
London World Champs.
London World Champs. There we go. Yeah. That's an accomplished group. But I guess Lyndon's coming in with a major title.
Yep.
Hasay's coming in with a 220 and 3 third places.
Yeah.
Sisson's coming in with a 223 and a debut.
Right.
Huddle's coming in with all the track credentials and some good marathon. I mean, she was third in New York. We forget about that. It was in 2016. And then you just have this stacked group. Like if this was the year 2000, like Sarah Hall would be like, all right, she's going to qualify, and then are there going to be other people to qualify? I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. No, you're right. I mean, it's a good topic to think about and consider kind of how it's happened and the origins of it and where we're at. And biggest thing is to kind of appreciate, if you're an American marathoning fan, how I know it's been 20 years, but relatively quickly it's kind of turned, and it feels like, that's credit to Dina Castor and that's credit to Meb Keflezighi even on the going to the women's side. Yeah.
Well, then then that gets
track
propelled by Flanagan and
exactly.
Goucher.
Yes. It's like somebody started the wheels and she's spun them faster and faster and faster, and all it took was a little push. Fascinating how it's developed, and we're definitely spoiled to now where it's at, because it's
it's not Kenya. It's not Kenya. We get all wrapped up in like, oh, no man has run under. Barely anybody running under 210.
But it's the Olympic marathon is a totally different game, and I think we can reasonably say that on both men's and women's side, we'll have medal a reasonable shot for a medalist on both sides when all is said and done.
Well, I think I wrote this in the preview. Whoever qualifies for the women has a chance at medal. Yeah. It doesn't matter who it is. By virtue of getting top 3 in this race, you have an outside shot at a medal, even despite the strength of Kenya and Ethiopia's teams.
And if it has to be reallocated, it has to be reallocated.
That's fine. You finish 7th, and then 10 years later, all of a sudden, you get that bronze. You show up at a stadium in Doha, grab your medal. I think what's cool about, especially the women's side, men too, but especially the women's side, it's good, but it's also unpredictable. It's not like, okay, well, that one person is great, and then it just falls off from there. And there's parity, but it's not parity because nobody's good. It's parity because there's a lot of people around the same time and that time season. Like if I told you fast forward in Tokyo that Jordan Say gets a bronze, are you surprised?
If she makes it, obviously she'd have to make the team. Yeah. No. It only takes one example for me to be back on the bandwagon.
Yeah, Sisson, Huddle, like these people medaling, you wouldn't be surprised.
Because they finished top 3 in a major. Yeah. Major's going to be deeper than the Olympics.
Right.
Yeah, so no.
Exactly. Yeah. Speaking of alpha flies, just kidding. No one was talking about alpha flies. Okay. I wanted to wrap up, though, talking about our saga yesterday to try to find them.
Sure.
As you reported first on your Twitter account. You were reporting it. I was able to confirm.
By being right next to me.
There was a tweet that went out from a Nike PR person, employee, social media person of some way, shape, or form.
Social impact strategist.
There you go.
Yeah.
SIS.
SIS.
I don't know if that's what they call them.
Oh, yeah, who knows?
Gave away the room and then had a screenshot there.
Yeah.
The intrepid Chris Chavez dug it out of the Twitter trash bin because it was deleted.
Yeah.
Just rummaging through some banana peels and just shredded files or something, and then you found it in the Twitter trash bin. And trust me, there's a lot of trash in the Twitter trash bin. I don't know if you've seen some of the tweets recently. Some of them are not very good. And so we had the room number where it was. We went to investigate.
Yeah.
We were not really prepared for it to be that easy.
No, I could have walked right in.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been yelled at, but I could have walked right in.
Yeah, there was a Nike banner out front. And then there was one woman, security person guarding the door, to which most journalists would have figured out a way around that.
Yeah.
Most real journalists. She didn't take us seriously at all. She had her AirPods in.
Yeah. It wasn't clear if she was talking it wasn't clear if she was talking to us, to them.
Or to somebody in the AirPods. Yeah. But we saw the boxes, at least.
Yeah, I took a photo, and then she yelled at me for taking a photo. Basically, the thing is, the tweet said, hey, are you running in the trials? Do you want to try the Alpha Fly? Swing by room A313 and give it a shot. Apparently Nike or somebody didn't want that going out. I have to assume it was Nike, but we checked it out. The shoes appear to be there. I didn't see the shoes themselves.
We saw the boxes, so we cannot confirm that there were shoes inside.
And that would be in a court of law. That would be easily shot down. You said you didn't see shoes. You saw boxes.
Yeah, I don't know if you've got to that episode of Narcos Mexico this season yet. Have you got to that episode where
they
think it's one thing and it's something else?
I mean, I don't think I have.
Okay, no spoilers, and I won't go any further. Keep going with your point, though.
Yeah, but we think we've seen them, and basically the big thing is, and I think Chavez did get it confirmed by a Nike spokesperson, that the Vaporflies are going to be available for whoever wants to wear them. The Alpha Flies, are going to be available for whoever wants to wear them. All you got to do is, and the room may be open right now. We'll definitely have to go back today.
Yeah.
See if we can mosey in, or if they put our wanted faces, and it's going to be me.
We're going to find some people there. We'll just have our names out. Yeah, I ran 216. Yeah. There were a lot of shoes in there. So there's enough,
hundreds of pairs of shoes.
Yeah, there's enough for everybody. I mean, this has been a rumor for months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I even heard it a couple months back, and if I had heard it, then that means most people who are more plugged in on this type of stuff
knew about it.
Definitely knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
I just don't, I mean, if you haven't been training with it, I heard about some athletes who were sent them, and they were not sponsored, they were sent them and were training in them so they could wear them. I don't see how someone's going to show up to the Olympic marathon trials and be like,
strap them up.
Give it a, like, that's the first thing.
Nike's taking a huge risk, right? I mean, is this a risk for them? I mean,
because you run it and
then like we have a Kipchoge in Berlin situation, circa 2015.
Well, what if you have a situation where you don't know who you're giving them out to? I mean, you do. You're giving them out to these trials people, but you don't know that person's like
not just there to sabotage the.
Well, what if they run in them? They say they get 1 million blisters, go right to the mix zone afterwards, and give a huge interview about how terrible these shoes are. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you're confident that they're not going to do that, or the positives outweigh the negatives. But I mean, that's part of the reason why you sponsor an athlete, right?
They don't do that.
And that definitely could be some unintended consequences there. But I'm guessing they want the visual of all these things flying through the streets of Atlanta.
Yeah. This is a wild story. It feels like I know the race is more important, but this is creeping up there in the sense of you want to learn, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of this. I trust my ability. I don't know about you, but just figure out
I'm not meant for this
how this came together. Because the Vaporflies have been successful. It's already a successful product. Now we got this new product. You wonder why they're going to a strategy where they're doling them out to everyone. I mean, obviously the headlines.
It's a marketing campaign.
Yeah, the headlines, and everyone thinks, these shoes are at worst cheater shoes. At best, they just give you a huge advantage. And so Nike wants to show that via the results, and that's what they're hoping. But it feels risky.
Okay, and to the layman, let's do the women's scenario.
Okay.
Here's a completely plausible women's scenario. Emily Sisson wins wearing New Balance. Molly Huddle gets second wearing Saucony. Des Linden gets third wearing Brooks. Let's say Jordan Hesse has an injury and drops out or finishes farther back. Sarah Hall finishes fourth in Asics. Kellen Taylor and Steph Bruce finish fifth and sixth wearing Hoka's. Coming in seventh place is Emma Bates wearing Asics.
Yep.
And then in ninth, we have Alphine Tuliamuk in Hoka's. Then between 10 and 20, you should have a parade of Alpha Flies.
Is that a good outcome for them? I mean, maybe.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it we'll get beat by 6 other shoe companies?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I wonder how much they're savvy.
Well, the men's race is where it feels like it could really jump, because if you somehow get 3 Nike athletes on the men's side, I think.
Well, unless Jared Ward falls down, that ain't happening.
Jonathan Galt might tear this whole mother down if that happens. So watch out for that. Yeah.
I think you have the insurance policy of Jared Ward, and you have the insurance policy of Scott Fauble. Yeah, you might get 2. I would be shocked if Rupp's wearing them, too. So, I mean, I guess that doesn't ultimately matter because he's wearing Nike shoes. But, I mean, I wonder how much they've gamed out. I got to talk to these folks at SIS, Social Impact Strategy. How much have they gamed out all these possibilities?
Right.
And just said, no, we're just going to flood the zone.
Yeah.
And everything good will happen.
I mean, Kipchoge did run 1:59.40 in these shoes, so you would think.
Well, he's Kipchoge.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
Is he on the start list?
Didn't think so, no.
Yeah. It's certainly a weird subplot. But, like, what if people wear them and they don't like them, and then they talk about how much they don't like them? Or what if, again, the general public...
Then they're going to lean on Kipchoge. He's being like,
well, look, it's the user error, man.
Yeah.
What if, the general public, right, it's like they're not going to be like, well, that person was predicted to get 37th, but with the Alpha Flies got 19th.
Yeah.
Like you and I will, like, look at that, and that's the rest of our running nerd friends
no,
would look
but
at
it's
that.
not going to have the massive.
Right.
You're not making the New York Times with that, probably.
Right,
Yeah.
but and I just laid out a scenario where the top 10 could be non-Nike. Now that's a long shot for it to be like that, but
sure.
Once you get past Hasay and Kipyego, I mean, I know maybe like Roberta Groner.
There's a very good chance Kipyego does not finish top 10.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
yeah,
and if Hasay drops out, almost feels like a high possibility.
Yeah, and that's not to say that disproves that the shoes are
Of course
effective. Obviously, that's been proven to be true, but it also shows how important it is to be outfitting a elite best athlete.
Yeah, and I'm just on the opposite side of that coin. If somehow 3 women wearing Nike shoes make the Olympic team, pitchforks coming for.
What are the odds here? Let's do one more. Odds that 3 women wearing Nike shoes make the Olympic team.
I don't know, 2%.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 4%.
Yeah. Or 7 to 8%. Yeah.
We don't know. No, I mean, I don't see it. I don't. I mean, if you told me, like, I've been wrong before, but if you said Sisson, Linden, and Huddle and Hall none of them are gonna make the team, that would be bizarre.
I think that's the magic the Alpha Fly offers. No. It's the bizarro clown world, right?
The person in the shoe matters. I'll just say that.
We'll find out on Saturday.
Live! I'll leave it there. I mean, I just don't like... There's a reason why in the original Breaking 2, Kipchoge still beat the other 2 dudes by minutes.
Yeah.
It's because he was Eliud Kipchoge.
That's true. Lily said...
He's still running.
DeCisa ran.
He's still on that track in Monza doing laps. No one asks about him.
He always trips on his singlet. It just keeps growing.
Expanding. Okay, that's it for this week. Today, that's it for today. We're back tomorrow.
Yeah.
More live from Atlanta. Taped actually from Atlanta, but we're recording it live because that's how podcasts work. We're going to get on the course today. We're going to have the press conference. So we'll be chock full of tidbits tomorrow, but we'll still probably be in this same hotel room.
Yeah. Yep. Find us here.
All right. We'll talk to you guys then.